Hello, it's Abdurrahman Ali here, and today we're gonna talk about and continue our discussion about transfer pricing. In essence, transfer pricing that has been making a lot of issues for multinational enterprises and tax administrations. That's why the CFA, Committee on Fiscal Affairs, which is the tax policy body of the OECD, Organization for Economic Development and Cooperation, that has been drafting some guidelines or framework, you can think about it that way, in order to advise how tax administrations and taxpayers to utilize the best outcome to reach an arm's length principle and to reach a transfer price that is acceptable. Okay, so that from there we can now figure out that there is some guidelines, some framework that has been issued and drafted by the OECD for the concerned parties, from whether tax administrations or taxpayers. So transfer pricing guidelines are basically guidelines that has been updated for so long time and it is still being updated. The latest update is January 2022. So if you're watching this in 2022, so you're up to date. If you're watching it later, so keep in mind that perhaps there was some update. The previous update of the transfer pricing guidelines or the framework is 2017 update. We will talk about it in detail, but we want to understand what could be the content or the index of the transfer pricing guidelines. If you look at the pyramid that you see, this is the pyramid of knowledge that are the chapters within the transfer pricing guidelines. In short, it's TPG. So in TPG, you will find that arm's length principle, ALP, is one key element. And you will see that transfer pricing methods, there are methods out there, 5 methods. And there is one, they call it the 6th method. There is a chapter about comparability analysis. And there is a chapter about some dispute resolution mechanisms and about documentation as well, how you should and how your documentation should look like. Additionally, there is intangibles, and we all know that the word intangibles is very wide and it has a lot of definitions. We will look at it from the glossary and from details. Intergroup transactions. Those are the transactions between associated enterprises. And if you don't understand what is an associated enterprise, you should watch the other video about the understanding or the introduction of transfer pricing. We will look at cost contribution agreement or CCA, which is where associated enterprises is trying to build some work together. Perhaps they want to build or work to get a patent developed, perhaps. That could be one example, simple example of a CCA. How it could be, we will see in later chapters. About business restructuring, this word is a bit, we see it today's market. So stay tuned to understand how could be a relationship between transfer price and business restructuring. One last thing, which is the chapter that has been added in the 2022 version of the transfer pricing guidelines, is the financial transactions. We will look at it in closer look, but this is the pyramid of knowledge inside the TPG. Stay tuned. We will look at it in more details and we will discuss some key aspects about the pyramid of knowledge from each chapter. So stay tuned. We're gonna hit more details in the coming episodes. Thanks for watching.